Okay. Hello, and welcome to the Coping with COVID-19, the Kids edition. We are going to start in a few minutes. If you are watching me, please go ahead and just share the live. I just saw my notification on my YouTube go up. That's good stuff. Go ahead and share this live. We're still waiting on 2 more of our panelists as well. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I don't see it live on the Facebook page.
I'm checking right now.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't off.
Let me see. Mine is loading.
Simona text, she's here. She just can't see herself.
Okay. Let me let her on. Oh, there she is.
Hey guys.
Hey, Simona.
Hello. Hey.
We are on live. We are just trying to hear these.
Yeah, I heard you guys. I was on for a while, but I couldn't see myself or anything.
Oh, my apologies.
Oh, you're good. Girl, let me tell my husband to bring me my earrings. You guys are too cute on here.
You're naturally gorgeous, dear.
I'm like trying to
Have you guys seen it on the page yet?
You said, can you
Let me see.
have the boys bring earrings up? The one on the table?
I'm just making sure.
Or if you can bring it. It should be.
I don't see it streaming yet.
This is very, very strange. Hold on 1 second. I know where. Yeah, because it's only on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not on Facebook yet.
I don't see it on Facebook.
Yeah, let's do this now. All right. So we should be on YouTube now, on Facebook now. Let's test it out. Health technology.
No, not as yet. Wait,
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Okay, come on, thing. Let's see. Let me refresh my page.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Woo! Thank you, Father.
Oh,
All
so
right.
it's probably just me. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh,
See
here.
it.
You accidentally spelled my name wrong. It's Kizzy.
You know, clearly I have a thing with names because I'm calling Marie Brenda. Just oh my God. Okay, there we go. I see it. So I'm gonna just share it.
You wanted us to share it and post it.
For the eye.
You wanted us to put it as a watch party or just share it?
Whatever.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We are still waiting on one more panelist also. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Hello, those of you who are tuned in to Coping with COVID-19, the Kids edition. We're going to get started in a few minutes. While we are waiting, just go ahead and share this live. Share, have a watch party. Text your friends. Hello, those of you who are tuned in to Coping with COVID-19, the Kids edition. And we're going to get started in a few minutes. Okay.
It's over.
Hey, Shanae. Hey, Reva. Thank you for those who are coming in. Just go ahead and share this live while we're still waiting on one more panelist. And then, he's here. And we're going to jump right in. We have a juicy discussion. Hey, Dr. Hall. I see you.
No.
We're literally giving just one more minute for some more people to come on in. Welcome. Welcome, guys. All right. Awesome. Okay, here we go. All right, awesome. Okay, were you guys able to share without a problem?
Yeah, totally fine.
Awesome, awesome. Hello, those of you who are coming in. We're going to start in just a second. Welcome again to Coping with COVID, the Kidz edition. While we're waiting, hey Reva, just go ahead and share the slide. Get your pens and your paper. Well, do people write anymore? Get your phone to type, I guess. I'm from the era where we wrote stuff. There was no computer stuff. We wrote. All right. Awesome. Hey, Tracy. Hello, Janice. All of my mamas, I see you guys coming on. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to Coping with COVID-19, the Kidz edition. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in, whether you saw the poster or you are here to support your friend. I'm sure we can all agree that this is indeed an important topic to discuss. Ms. Rona came out of nowhere, and people are saying that it's a woman because she is here with fury, and she's not really letting up like a woman, right? So Ms. Rona kind of came out of nowhere and just like changed our entire life. So last week, if you all were tuned in, we had a Zoom conference dealing with grief amidst COVID-19. People are not only losing one person, but multiple people like at the same time. So I felt during Mental Health Awareness Month, it was very important for us to discuss that. And this week, we wanted to focus specifically on the children, because the children are suffering in their own way, and contingent on their age, they may not be able to really vocalize or really even comprehend how they're feeling. So I felt like this was a very important topic to discuss. And I called on the best of the best here. I said, let's see, because I want to discuss 3 different aspects of it. I want us to really identify what this looks like in the eyes of children. Then I wanted to talk about the educational system, because we know that has been thrown in the loop as well. And then I want to talk to the mamas, not negating the fathers, but I'm a woman, so I want to talk to the mamas. So we have an amazing group of panelists here with us. We have the mental health professionals, we have the educators, and we have the mommy advocates. So my name is Terry Khan, gospel recording artist and the host for tonight. And we're going to start with introductions. I'm going to go in order of my tiles. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and let the World Wide Web know who you are. Starting with Ruth.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I am an educator. This year I am a pre-K teacher. I have been in education for the last 10, almost 11 years. And I'm excited to share with you guys and be with some fellow African-American professional women. Just make this world better together.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruth. Next, we have Dr. Marie Pressley.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Marie Durandisse-Pressley. I am a bilingual clinical school psychologist. I am super excited to be here to share with you all. I am so honored to be surrounded by all of this Black girl magic. And we're just excited to share our skill sets to help us get through all of this together.
Awesome. Thank you. Dr. Hall.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Shonelle Hall. I am a K-8 New York City Department of Education principal. And everyone, the Black girl magic is just spilling all over the place. So I'm so glad to connect with each of you, and to those of you who are watching at home and watching from your phones and in your cars, we're really happy to connect with you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Simona.
Hi guys, I am Simona Noce-Wright. I am the founder of District Motherhood, which is the premier organization for millennial moms of color in the DMV, and I'm also the co-creator of the conference, the Momference, which is the nation's first conference for moms of color.
Yes, and it's the best. I've been there. Okay, had to mention that. Thank you, Simona. Dr. Pressley.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Izzy Pittrell. I am coming from the Baltimore, Maryland area. I am a mental health professional. I've been in the field for about 15, 16 years. And I'm just happy to be here to share this platform and learn some new information from the educators and the psychologists, and just to be able to give people some, direction about what our children are dealing with during this time. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first set of questions I have geared towards our mental health professionals, because I think it's important for us to understand what COVID-19 looks like in the eyes of our children. Again, specifically, especially those who cannot vocalize how they feel. So my question is just that. What does the pandemic look like in the eyes of, let's talk about the younger children first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Dr. Pressley, you want to start, or you want me to kind of jump in?
That's fine. We can tag team. So we have to really be aware about appropriateness and age appropriateness and what that looks like in identifying feelings and what that looks like in being able to verbalize and articulate how we feel. So there's a drastic difference between us as adults being able to say, I'm frustrated, I'm afraid, or I don't want to go out, I don't know what's happening, I want to see my friends. So as adults, that is something completely different that we'll see in a child, because oftentimes they do not have the vocabulary nor the skill set to be able to identify what it is that they're feeling or what their wishes are. So what we often see sometimes, we see an increase in problematic behavior. We see an increase in temper tantrums. We see an increase in all sorts of those things. So as the adults, as the parents, we need to understand where our children are, and we need to try to meet them where they are.
Right.
Some tips and some things that we can do is, hey, can you draw a picture? Can you show me what this person is feeling? Or can we do this particular activity? Can we play with these different dolls? So that we can kind of gauge and get a sense of what it is that they are feeling, because they simply just do not have the vocabulary to articulate the fear and the concern of what they're going through right now.
So fear and frustration and screaming and rolling on the floor equals, fear equals, or let me flip that around. Screaming, rolling on the floor, attitude equals, I'm scared and I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. It can also be anxiety too. Like, it can come out different ways. Like some children who are dealing with anxiety, it could be irritability. It could be just kind of isolating. It could be anger. It could just be not wanting to talk to, their siblings or their parents. So it can definitely manifest in different ways. And as Dr. Pressley indicated, you're going to see a lot of those behaviors. And then emotionally, they're not able to verbalize it. So you're only going to be able to see and can judge from what you see, like maybe what's happening with the kid. Maybe some regression, maybe if you have a kid that is normally not angry, but then, have some fluctuating in mood or become, easily irritable for small things that probably don't even really would make that child upset or irritable. They now become a little bit irritable. And I think also just fear and just, uncertainty, just like what we're feeling, just uncertainty, missing their friends, missing their teachers. So you'll definitely see a lot of, acting out behavior just because they're missing their friends and all.
So, Dr. Pressley, you mentioned one thing before, and answer my next question was going to be, well, how then do we help them process? What are the words that we need to use? And right now we're specifically talking about our younger children. What kind of things should we be telling them that they will have a full comprehension? Because the other day, my 5-year-old told me that we can't go outside because Corona's in the sky and on the houses. And I was like, no, baby, that's not. So please help.
Okay, so there are a couple of things. Before we even have the conversation, we need to act first. Children, they need structure, they need stability, they need routine. Structure, stability, and routine, that equates to safety for them.
Okay.
So although they may not have that school component, teacher component, they still have that family component. So as mothers, as parents, as caretakers, we still have that capability to give them that sort of structure in knowing mommy's here, daddy's here, grandparents are here, you are safe just by that structure. So some of the things that we can do is we can use their particular type of vocabulary. For instance, Corona is not something that is in the sky. That's not how you get it. Corona is something that you may find in your belly or when you sneeze, and try to, teach them Corona is kind of like something like a fever or a sneeze or a cough, just different things. Just giving them real life experiences and conversations that meet their age, and to kind of like challenge some of their irrational thoughts that they may be hearing. So sometimes you may have a 5-year-old, oh, I'm afraid to go outside because Corona is going to fall out of the sky and it's going to get me. That's where we come in as those parents and say, sweetheart, Corona is not in the sky. This is how you get Corona. You can get Corona from someone else. The way you can get the Corona from someone else is if someone coughs, someone sneezes. That's why we're wearing masks. That's why you're wearing a mask. To kind of challenge those irrational thoughts that they may be having, to kind of provide them that comfort. And then one thing that I would recommend is that in talking to our children, we as the caretakers, we have to remain calm ourselves, and we must have that soothing, calm voice so that we can let them know that all is okay. Because as children, they pick up on our verbal cues, they pick on our body cues, and they also pick up on voice tone. So those would be my recommendations.
Okay. Thank you. Did you have anything to add to
that? I definitely would encourage parents and caregivers to just be honest. Well, first of all, before even that, as parents and caregivers, we need to know our facts. So we need to know what's going on in the world. That way we can provide, accurate information. Because and children also need information that's age appropriate. Like, for example, I have a 17-year-old. And so information for her is going to look a little differently than, maybe some of you ladies who have younger children. You're going to be able, you're probably going to have to explain, yes, Corona does not fall out of the sky, whereas my 17-year-old has done like her own research. So we can actually have a dialogue like adults. And, these are the facts. This is what's going on. This is how many people that's been affected. These are how many people that's recovered. So I think we need to first understand the facts ourselves as caregivers and parents, be honest with our children, provide age-appropriate information, and definitely just reassure them. As Dr. Pressley said, just reassure them that all of this is for safety. I even have to reassure my 17-year-old sometimes, because she's like, well, I don't have to wear this mask. I think it's just stupid. For our safety, Kennedy, when we go to the store, we have to put the mask on. So just reassuring them, why we're doing these things.
Thank you. Okay, and again, we mentioned some of this before, but just to reiterate, what are some of the signs that our children may be struggling? We mentioned the temper tantrums. I have a 2 and a 5-year-old. I know about the temper tantrums. But what are some other signs that we may identify?
I think clingy behavior for like your little ones, maybe some clingy behavior. Again, with teenagers, maybe the social isolation. And when I do these talks, I really try to help people understand the difference between the social distancing and social isolation, because yes, we are following our governor's orders and we have to practice safe social distancing, but we still can communicate with our loved ones and families, appropriately through like these platforms, Zoom and GoTo and FaceTime, so that we're not, isolating. So just being mindful of, your young people that might, isolate and don't come down for dinner and things like that. Like I said, the irritability, the up and down, and maybe, I guess, for little children, maybe some regression of behaviors. So maybe issues with using the bathroom or things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And you mentioned something that was so key before. I think it was Dr. Pressley when we talked about structure. I've noticed as a former teacher, I would go into the classroom some days and I'm just like, guys, we're just gonna have a free day. We're gonna have a free day. And the kids are like, okay, right. And they don't even know what to do. But on a day when I come in with this whole lesson plan, they're just like, Ms. Cock, can we have a free day? Right. And I noticed how important structure really is. And I'm even for my 2-year-old. I think I've had, right, Ruth? I think we've had the most problems with her because it's like circle time. And she's like, why are we doing circle time? There are no friends here. It's just like, so I really threw this, this conference was really for me, guys. I'm just gonna be honest. I just didn't invite the world, but this is really just for me to figure out my life. So now we're talking about the educational system, right? March 13th was the last day that we were actually in the school building. Excuse me, I'm a former teacher, but I am still in the schools as a DOE vendor with my company. And I remember the last week leading up to it, there were all these question marks, right? And there was a lot of fear because we were saying, Cuomo, whoever are you guys going to shut us down? Are we going to be subject to be here with all of these kids? The school building has 1,600 people. So finally, they shut the schools down. Friday, Monday, no school, boom. So I wanted to ask Dr. Hall, and Dr. Hall is the principal, and Ruth as the pre-K teacher. First of all, what should we expect with the educational system going forward? Are we reopening in September? Will there be summer school? I know there's a lot of uncertainty. So I wanted to ask you all that.
So there are far more questions than there are answers to those. And it's disheartening to all of us, right? Because I have a staff that asks me very much of the same questions, and I can't answer them definitively.
Right.
Even a lot of the questions my superiors can't answer me definitively. So, and it's no one's fault, right? It's just the situation that we are all currently in. So as it relates to summer school, there is no answer to that as yet. As it relates to opening in September, that was the last thing that our mayor shared. So far, that's where we are in terms of reopening summer school.
Just so there's just question marks all across the board. Now, I was doing remote learning for a few weeks after school shut down, and I would notice that I'm with the high school. I'm with the older kids. God bless you all that teach the younger babies. It's not my ministry. I can't do it. So I was with the older kids, and I would notice like my class started at 12:45, teaching vocal. I get online, and the kids clearly just look like they woke up. Right? And I'm just like, but it's 12:45. You guys have bonnets on. Half of them I'm looking at them like this, right? They're laid out in bed. And I'm just like, well, I teach 7th grade. So what happened to the first few periods that you guys were supposed to be online? And they're just like, we just woke up for your class. So my question is, how is this going to affect our children academically? Like, what do you foresee happening with the academics and our children?
Well, the Department of Education is currently tracking student interactions with their teachers, and not attendance. So for example, the way we do it at our school is student interaction is determined by student assignment submissions. And students being a part of the live classroom. So, and I know every school may measure interactions a little differently, but our school is if a student logs on into the classroom and submits an assignment, the teacher will mark that as an interaction. If the child is in the live classroom, that gets marked as an interaction because the DOE is not tracking attendance as they would in the school building, but they're tracking interaction, communication between student and teacher, family and teacher.
And I did hear that there are no report cards going out for all grades. Is that a fact as well?
So the Department of Education issued a citywide grading policy that where K through 5 students will their final grade will be either a N, which would be needs improvement.
Okay.
N needs improvement or met criteria. Those are the two different categories for K through 5. Met criteria or needs improvement. And then in middle school, 6th grade, because my school is a K through 8 school,
right,
there's 3 options. So it's either needs improvement, met criteria, or course in progress.
Is it course in progress?
Course in progress.
Course in progress. Okay. Ruth, I want to throw this question to you as well as the pre-K teacher. Like, how do you see this affecting them academically?
Actually, even now, you can see a slight regression. It makes it sometimes a little difficult when parents don't hold the children accountable. Like you said, if the kids are waking up at 12:45 just doing class, that means they're not being held to the same standard as though they were in a school setting. So that already sets the student up to now regress to a certain way. So if we were to treat it the same way as though we were in school, then the regression may not be as drastic, but there's already regressions taking place within the students. And then there's the question of whether the work is being done with fidelity. I heard parents logging on just to say, hey, we logged on, but I haven't seen sis do any work for the last 6 weeks, and I did a load of assignments in one shot. So who did it? And then it doesn't reflect what your child was doing prior to us being quarantined. So is it being done with fidelity? Is it not being done with fidelity? There's no way for us to really track that as well. And we won't know that until September, where now students are promoted, but can they really handle the grade that they're in now?
Right.
So
and that's what I fear, because as you said, is this your work or mommy's work or daddy's work or big sister or big brother's work? And even going back to when I was doing remote learning online, you know, the kids see, I would do Zoom or the Google Meets after Zoom got shut down. And little kids like cameras. So I would be having class with like families, like brothers, sister heads, talk about all in the camera. And I'm just like, but don't they have their own schoolwork to do? And they're like, go do your schoolwork. It's just like, it was like a madhouse, especially if you have several siblings in one household. Everyone's supposed to be doing Google Classroom, you know, and then mom, she has to work remotely from home too. Dad has to, and dad may be an essential worker. Like all of these variations, it just gets me a little nervous. So wait, who said, Go ahead.
That was me. That was Dr. Pressley.
Do you have something to say?
That is my life story. I work home remotely as a psychologist, you know, doing teletherapy, meeting with parents, doing IEPs, doing various things. My husband is an essential employee. I only have him one time a day, one day a week. And I have 2 children. I have a 1-year-old and I have a 17-year-old who's a graduating senior. So I have bookend kids. So it's just navigating remote learning, pulls and demands of making sure that my son stays on top of everything he needs to stay on top of and to graduate effectively. And a 1-year-old who, you know, is in constant need of everything.
Mommy.
Yes. And my support systems, who would be my parents, are quarantined, you know? So, the road is rough. It's rough right now, but
you doing good though, sis. You doing good.
Doing it.
We're all good.
Right, we don't have a choice. I often think about single moms. You know what I mean? And I'm like, shout out to all the single moms. If you're a single mom, throw up a heart or something on the chat. So now we're talking about how to deal with becoming a teacher mom. So we're talking about the non-educator who has become their children's teacher. So I'm going to throw that question back to you, Ruthie. And then Simona, I feel like you're in PR, right? You're the only non-educator, quote unquote, on here. So I want to know how you done that as well, becoming this teacher mom.
Okay.
So as a teacher mom, the first thing that I can suggest, especially for those who aren't in education, one of the things that has been a reoccurring statement is a schedule. It'll be difficult to have your child succeed in anything if there isn't a schedule set for it. It's okay if the schedule isn't perfect. We as teachers don't expect you to do what we would do in the classroom. But if there is a routine, it kind of sets the student up for success at home. So that's one of the major things that I think is absolutely necessary. No matter how young or how old the child is. My son is 2, and he isn't in school as yet. However, I have a set routine for him. 20 minutes on the computer. Let's go ride a little bit. Now it's time for a nap. Okay, time to be with grandma. So he's accustomed to it, and it's gotten to the point that when we don't do the routine, he kind of looks around like,
what's happening?
What is happening? So a routine is definitely necessary for our moms who are now teachers. Just kind of give them the feel as though they're still in the classroom.
And let me ask you, Ruth, before you jump in, Simona, as a pre-K teacher, because I know personally, and I know a lot of my friends, we're more so feeling it with the younger kids. Again, my background is in education, but with the older kids. So I thought I had it together. I was like, I'm a teacher. I can do this with my 2-year-old, right? I was like, okay, boom, we're going to do the ABCs, the math. And it was like after 3 minutes, she was bored. And I was like, but wait, I had on the schedule, this was supposed to last for like 12 minutes. And then we're going to move on to the other activity. And you were already done with me after 3 minutes. So in teaching the younger kids, like for their attention span, how long should each activity be?
So here's the thing. We, and this is for young and old, but I'll go back to the young. We have taught the students that too much screen time is no good.
Right.
So we've gone from teaching them that you can't be on the screen too much to now everything being screen. For the pre-K students, the most developmentally appropriate time frame for them to be on a screen is 15 minutes. Anything past that is completely inappropriate for them.
Okay.
In the pre-K classroom, we have a whole bunch of different sensors. Why do we have sensors? They get bored easily. And it's different at home because you're going to make a mess in the house. And I don't think I want that. So now it's a matter of creating activities within the house that your child can transition to every day. But even in doing that, when you create the activity and they're transitioning from one to the next, if they haven't mastered it, I would switch it out. They can have the activity there for 3-4 weeks, but if they haven't mastered it and you go to the next one, then it's kind of like not helping their developmental stages properly.
Okay.
So have some activities set out for them that they can transition from one to the next, and they can move as they really want to, and then you can still set a time frame for them to be within those activities, and then she'll be able to function the way she wants to. But if you don't have several options for her to kind of look around and see what she wants to do, what she doesn't want to do, you won't be able to catch her attention span very long.
She's 2. She has options in life.
If you see behind my hair, I'm trying to block it, but we have a whole house with the shapes and letters and numbers.
Yes.
There's a car that walks around. Then he can transition to his piano. Then there's a drum set. Then there's a wall set where he can push it. He can do the ABCs. And he never stays at any one of them. He'll stay 3 minutes here, and he'll transition to the next one. But what I've noticed last week is that he's mastered a few of the activities that I set out. So now this week, my plan is to now switch out what he's mastered and now put some new activities and also pay attention to what he doesn't really like. Like my son doesn't like shapes. So now the next set of games that I have out will focus more on shapes so that he can master that before I transition into like a whole new unit or a whole new set of activities for him to understand. So you got to have a few things.
Mom, right there.
You're right.
And teach how to clean up. As soon as my son hears clean up. Everything in the bin. So all of that is necessarily in the routine. You know what I mean? So if you start training them from now, she can function properly and function fluently throughout the course of the day, but she has to have a few options. She does.
So can I just send her to your house? Okay, we'll talk. That just sounded like a whole lot, but it makes sense.
My husband got tired after 12 minutes. I said, "You just you're not doing this."
But it makes sense because their attention span, if it's just like boop boop boop, and I was like, but when you're watching YouTube Kids, though, you can stay on that one channel for hours.
Right. But think about it, as a music teacher, it's music friendly. So one thing that I've always done in my classroom, which is why I even did like a Donor's Truth page, my classroom is very from one center to the next, whether it's meeting, everything we do is music. Before we go to sleep, sing a song. So while she hands, sing a song. So maybe there's a way you can incorporate music, since she likes the YouTube channel so much and the songs, that can possibly help her maintain a better structure.
I'd like to send a special God bless you to all pre-K teachers. So Simona, you have transitioned you are this fabulous PR lady, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Mommy.
Girl. I think like, one thing to keep in mind with this concept of teacher mommy is also like teacher child. This entire experience has been a learning process for both of us, where I am getting this opportunity to learn my children. I have 2 boys, 5 and 3, and also they're getting this opportunity to also teach me who they are. So I'm a firm believer in like learning through play and learning real life experiences. So as a publicist, I've worked from home. Like I'm a contractor, so I work from home. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I'm very familiar with being home with my kids. So I'm sure the stress for me is a little lower than maybe other moms who are going to work 9 to 5 and having to deal with this transition. I think one thing that's also important is, when this started and all those colorful schedules were going around and everybody had that like honeymoon, fresh COVID. Yes, I'm going to do this and do that and do that. That was very interesting to me because I think parenting, just like any teacher, I hope would agree that children are like really different. And so to kind of have this set social media, well, this is what we're going to do, seemed a little bit unrealistic because it removed the consistency and the personality also of the parent. So I think that school is a set structural place. Like they're there for a few hours. They're also sharing attention with 20 plus other children.
Right.
And everything is scheduled, not just for the benefit for the child, but also for the control of the teacher so that they're able to accomplish whatever they need to accomplish. We're not in school, we're at home. So because of that, I don't have to necessarily think so much schooling and school schedule because there's a bit more flexibility and there's a freedom and they're sharing their attention with just each other. They're just getting their attention from me. So I think it's first good to take inventory of your home and your capacity, what your personality type is, and then also trying to take into account what the personality type is of your child, how they learn and what their ages are. So that you're not putting this expectation, because I'm not a teacher, so I'm not going to pretend or want to perform like one. I didn't choose to be one for a reason. And also my children have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and I have to make sure I'm able to reach them for us not to kill each other. I don't want to be frustrated, and I don't want my child, to have a worse experience at home than they did at school. That's not. So I think first understanding is like, this is a crazy situation that we all didn't expect to be. And I think it's ruined the idea of whatever sort of control that we all thought we had as teachers, as parents, as whatever. So we are home, like, it's like, first of all, relax, like everything has changed. And then get understanding that, okay, if your child is in school, what were the goals and where were they at like in that time, and how can I make sure that need like is met? So in addition to kind of taking, into account your personality and what my child does, thankfully, I don't know, our school system has been so great in terms of our school. My kids go to a French charter school. They've been really great with sending information, trying to normalize their experience as much as possible. And not just like, we just send work, but even from the principal to doing their morning routine song. And then the social worker doing her yoga meditation thing. I'm like, dang, this is a lot. Like, you guys are doing all this at school. But I appreciate them for not only putting their best foot forward, but also giving us the grace to sort of like catch up to where they are and pick and choose what's necessary and what's helpful for the kids, because teacher mommy is also still career mommy for other people. We're still working. So our schedules don't, like we're not just there all day. So I think it's hopefully you have a good support system. I would encourage every parent, if you do have a relationship with your child's teacher, and if you don't, maybe forming one now and asking those questions like, well, what was Sebastian like in school? What was Roman like in school? Because the way they're going to act at home is certainly different than how they're going to act in this place where like you're standing in line, you're sitting down, you're doing this song. They're going to have that freedom to act more of a fool with me at home than they are at school. But at least if I can understand, like, well, does Roman sit down, for circle time? Is he more fidgety? Like during lunchtime, is he talking a lot? Or like, what is your schedule like? Because I found out my Roman can only focus for 8 minutes, at a time, whereas Sebastian, 12 minutes is his max. So just trying to even understand that in that pre-K 4 and pre-K 3 class that they're in, with every school that's different. Every school also, like charter schools, public schools, private schools, teach differently depending on what their goals are. So I need to also understand like what is and hopefully you understood that before you sent your child to the school. But if you don't, what is the priority and what are they focused on in that school? And our school is really focused on learning through play. Again, it's a French school, so most everything is, is 90-10 in French. But they learn through play. They had their, morning time is like circle time. Then it's the centers or whatever. Then we break them up in small group. Then we do this. So understanding even what their day looks like at school has helped me not to be this like, okay, well, now I'm a teacher. I got to educate my kid. It's like, well, what's the realistic time? They're at school from 9 to 3. So I knew that after 3, they were going to be home anyway playing. So if I know I'm just like, okay, 9 to 3, what does it look like at school, and let me marry that with what it looks like at home. I know when we wake up, we spend time, getting dressed, having breakfast. So maybe while they're having breakfast, that's a time where we can talk about a day, have our own circle time that makes sense in my home. I have a window, look outside, like, is it sunny? Is it rainy? Is it whatever? Figure out what it looks like so that the goals are still being met, but I'm able to do that while I'm doing breakfast and having them figure out we're still in this 9 to 3 frame, right? That routine they're used to at school, but how does it look like at home where it makes sense? They're safe, they're still being educated, and I'm taking them completely away from what they're used to. So that's something. I mean, I know I kind of jumped everywhere, but that's something I've kept in mind that I'm very patient with myself now. I'm patient with them. The Target dollar section has so many daggone things to buy for the kids. How to turn their room into a thing. And quickly to even speak on I agree. I think, Ruth, you're the one who said, like it's also part of the parents to kind of set their kids up. We do have these one-on-one sessions with our teachers. And our school has been very clear that the student needs to be in a quiet place where siblings are not around. They cannot be in pajamas. They need to show up for their 10-minute session just as they would at school. So I think that they've been very clear about their expectations. And if they weren't met, they have these wellness check-ins. But because of that, we have, like, it's not a game. When it's their time, my husband takes the other one. I sit one down. Yeah. Their paper, their crayon, everything access. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, like it's all you're doing your best. Like we're really just doing the best that we can. And you do the best based on your home, your financial status, your marital status. like where you live, how many children live with you, who's quarantined with you, who's not quarantined with you, you know?
Right.
I think it was Dr. Pressley who said, you know, your mom, that's your support system. She's not, so things are changing. So there's just so much to consider.
Yeah.
To take into account while you're, you know, rolling out your new teacher mommy plan.
And I just want to add to what Simona was saying. I'm really glad you said at the end that everyone's experience is so different. To be patient with yourself.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. That's what I got. Yeah.
Because, I mean, me being an educator is 15 years now. And I'm saying to myself, oh, I got this. Again, when we were transitioning from our regular, you know, go to school life, right? Go to the school building life. And then we had a weekend of transition. I was excited. I said, well, you know, not excited about the situation, but excited about the fact that, okay, I can schedule what my children's day will look like.
Right.
And to an extent, I can still do that. But a lot of that schedule has gone out the window because I had to get the reality check that you are not a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
You work at home and your children do their work from home too.
Right.
You are there to facilitate their learning. So that was like a total reality check for me that weekend. It was like, okay, girl, I had a whole schedule. I had an Excel sheet. Instagram, I was ready. My husband and I had a meeting in this living room with we projected the schedule on the TV and went over to them what their day was gonna look like. This is what we're doing. We're gonna have devotion at this time. Right. That time, it was all laid out. I had books, everything, and then Google Classroom.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, oh, I didn't know that was on the radar. I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
So, you know, even as principals, I didn't know that was on. You know, was going to happen.
Wow.
So, things change so quickly that I just want to encourage families to know that I know that we're going, this is like what, week 7 into this thing, but continue to be patient with yourself. And for me, I have 4 children between ages 6 and 10, all in 4 different grades. I'm trying to navigate, okay, each child's to-do list, each child's schedule, and it has come to a point where, like, you know what, I know what they need to learn in each grade. How about I just create my own, just go by my own schedule? Because
how about it?
Manage what the teacher has offered, and I love their school, and they're doing everything they could possibly do. But it's a lot for me to manage. So I just want to encourage families to know that there is a lot of wiggle room for you to create within the teacher's schedule. Don't feel like you are married to what the teacher has provided. Should your child submit the assignments? Yes.
Right.
But make sure that you build in the structures that you would like to see for your children.
Right.
Like I said, I had devotion on my children's schedule before Google Classroom, and it kind of got lost in the sauce. But that's something that I'm committed to adding back to their schedule.
Right. Right.
So I would say take advantage of the opportunity that we all have to recreate what our families look like.
Yeah. Just make it out alive. At this point,
make
it out alive.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm seeing all of your comments. Thank you for commenting. Yes, Terrell, they are your children. You cannot give them away. Terrell Young, you have to keep our children. Shanae, it is challenging to balance, and we're actually gonna get to some tips. So just stay tuned. Thank you for those who are tuned in. Continue to share. We're having an amazing conversation. And Dr. Hall, you took the words right out of my mouth. Simona, like what you said, just gave me a different perspective all of a sudden. Like allow yourself. You took the words right out of my mouth. I just heard patience. You know, because it can be frustrating. Then you start feeling bad as a mom, like, well, are my children not going to learn because you know? And I also wanted to say that even in me going over some stuff with especially my son, the 5-year-old, I learned also, like you said, Dr. Hall, we're doing the assignments, but just creating alternate ways for him to learn what is being taught as well, because we are in a different environment. There is no smart board here. There are no sections. There's no that. In order to keep him intrigued as well. So even my husband last week, he started just looking up like different YouTube videos surrounding the topic, you know, of what they're learning. And he was a little bit more intrigued. He's like, oh, okay. Because there can be that, well, you're not my teacher. That, you know, there can be that too.
Yeah.
So, and if your child is like mine, they feel they know everything anyway. You know, so how do we deal with that? But thank you for mentioning that. And my next question, I feel like, has been answered, but just to reiterate, how can we help the teachers? Because it is a two-way street. You know, I feel for the teacher. I have a lot of teacher friends like Ruth and even Dr. Hall. You guys are at home with your own children as well, and y'all need help too.
Yeah.
So what can we do?
help.
So what can we do to make our children's teacher's job easier?
I've always been a key advocate for parent-teacher connections. Just because we're online now, it doesn't negate the fact that it's still important to maintain that connection. I tell people all the time, feel free to build that relationship with the teacher, and also feel free to ask whatever you need to ask in order to transition smoother. I tell my students that all the time, no matter how old they are. There is no stupid question. What you think might be considered like silly, it might actually be necessary for even the teacher to hear. Just like the parent is learning from the teacher, there are many cases where the teacher is learning from the parent.
Right.
So building relationship with the teacher is important. Actually finding out what the expectations are for the student is important. I don't expect you to teach your 4-year-old how to multiply 4 times 4.
Right.
So finding out what the content is and what the expect of your child is very, very important. So those are some areas that would be important to focus on. And like you in the classroom, if there are ways that you can assist the teachers online, feel free to do so. For pre-K, we're kind of like not really in the scene. Everything is really K through 8, so it makes it a little difficult.
Right.
If you are a parent who would like to come in and read a story, reach out and say, hey, I want to read a story to the kids. How can we make it possible? If you are a parent who is strong in math or maybe literacy, maybe you can suggest to your teacher, hey, I have some resources that maybe your students can use. We're never going to turn down additional help, but that can only come through building relationship with the teacher. So that's
awesome. We love you, teachers. And I know I'm not being biased. Ruth is my friend, but I wanted you on the panel because Ruth goes above and beyond for her students. She's like, nope, we are on circuit time on Zoom. We're going to try to see the babies. So thank you so much. All Teachers Appreciation Week. Shout out to you all. So
can I jump in real quick?
Of course.
I just want to give a perspective. I know I'm not an educator in a classroom setting, but just from a mental health standpoint, just as, because we all have we have very similar things in common. So we're all parents, we're all moms, and we are, professionals. So I think it's important too, just as professional women and moms and nurturers and all those great things, that we also have to remember to take care of ourselves first. So I think, you're going
to the next section, Dr. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I because it's just so important. I always preach it. Like, you cannot give anything to your husband, your children, your siblings, your parents until you're able to pour that into yourself. So even as moms and teacher moms and educators, psychologists, nurses, doctors, we all just have to keep in mind that we have to remember that golden rule.
Can I interject really quickly? I know you're going to another section, but Simona said it best. She said, what does 9 to 3 look like? And after the clock, they would have been playing anyway.
Right.
At 2:20, Ruth August Cesar turns off her computer. And there's no way I can be good to you if I'm sitting here giving so much and I can't read.
Right.
So if you know that this is, and it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
It always comes up, especially as the principal, Dr. Hall. I'm sure you on that computer till the wee hours of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If the Lord calls me to administration, I don't know how that's gonna work because I'm closing my computer. I don't want to.
Right.
It's a matter of really finding that balance and saying, you know what, as much as I want to keep going, I have to stop because we're not good to anybody if we're on empty. So I totally agree that.
Oh,
Have to do what they have to do, but come 3:01, y'all go do whatever you want at 3:01 because I'm done.
no, I agree. So, my ladies jump to the next section, which is so important to me because my mantra is in order for me to be the best me, in order for me to be the best she, I have to be the best me. Right? She is a teacher. She is a singer. She is that. So I have to be the best me in order to be the best she. Right? That's my mantra. And that is why I wanted to talk. So that was the next thing. Like, so what are tips for parents? You guys already started mentioning some. So I'm going to throw it to Simona because Simona, I call you the mommy advocate. You're the co-creator of District Motherhood, which just is so amazing because it provides so much support for us mothers. Guys, if you do not know about District Motherhood, please go and check it out on Instagram. Mommies, we need each other.
Girl, we do.
Yes.
So some tips. I mean, obviously, as you can tell from what I said before, I am super big on being, giving yourself tons of grace.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, I think you even mentioned how, sometimes you can have a little guilt when you're not conforming to the standard that you plan for yourself.
Yes.
There are some days where I really just don't have it in me. And even if I don't know if it's because maybe I'm just like, dang, this is really happening. I need to lay down. Or I'm just tired. Or I just really don't want to do another Zoom call. I don't want to do another binder. I just don't want to do it. So I have found myself sometimes just laying in bed, all day, like chilling with the kids. I feed the kids, and I've realized that rather than fight myself for it, I've realized like that's okay. Like, that's something that I've needed to for me to be able to get through it. So mom guilt is a heck of a thing, even with the pandemic, like we can be super hard on ourselves, which is so insane because you never go to like a mommy university or anything like that. It's like you find out you're having a baby and then you're super concerned with like baby center and your beautiful baby shower and what the first, months or whatever you're going to look like, but not like this integrating of like, oh, this is like an actual human that I have to raise, but I'm also still raising myself. Like I'm still growing.
Right.
That is the whole mind F,
Yes.
So I think giving yourself a lot of grace and not routines are super important and set them because you're able to kind of go through them. But if there's a day that your routine doesn't happen, that's okay.
It's okay.
So like Dr. K said, like you can't take care of your kids or your family if you are just pressuring yourself all the time to be on full, because sometimes you're just gonna be on E and your plan B, C, D is simply not gonna work. The only plan that works is what you're learning that day or just being still like to heck with it, So I think realizing that that's okay and that would alleviate the pressure. Obviously I shared like, some of the tips with the child's schooling and distance learning, kind of creating that, 9 to 3 schedule too. Mm-hmm. But for me, even helping my children, like, makes me feel better about this time. So prioritizing like your play dates means a lot to me because I know I like to prioritize my Zoom happy hours or whatever that we're doing. So if I know that, my self-care is like family self-care, like, okay, listen, y'all called so-and-so, or I let you be on Zoom. So like 10 5-year-olds can scream at each other like, hi, Sebastian, look at this. It's like, great. I've fed them, emotionally. Now, then they know, because what it does is also teaches them the opportunity, and it teaches them how to have their own time. So when they see that I'm also having like mommy play dates, they allow me to do that, because we've kind of set that in our home. So it's like, oh, Sebastian's having a play date, or Roman's having a play date, or like their dad is always on a podcast. So every time, like, oh, is daddy on a podcast? Like, yes, that's his play date.
Right.
So kind of setting that expectation allows us to be like, yeah, mommy needs to relax right now. Like, my head is hurt. I need alone time. I love you, but now I need a second. That has helped me get through this, because I brought them in that process with me. Okay. So that allows me to actually have my self-care, so that I could actually feel better. Okay. Another thing I know that I'm struggling with, that I know other parents are struggling with, is this idea of every 5 minutes my kids are asking me for snacks, which has now confused me, because I'm like, do y'all not?
You just ate.
Like, do you guys not eat in school? Like, what is really going on? Because I know that when I pick you up, like, your lunchbox is full, so the snacks are still there. So there's a disconnect.
Right.
You have to spend extra money on snacks, and you just had lunch and snack. So what has helped me is, in my mind, if I know, I'm like, okay, instead of figuring out like what they're gonna have to lunch today, what they're gonna do. I mean, at this point, the first 3-4 weeks of quarantine, that's what it was, because we didn't know how long this would last. Now that we know, like, all right, cool, we're in this routine, it's helped me know, like, okay, there's pancakes and waffles for breakfast. I know that I'm going to pop that in and give them that with fruit. What is lunch looking like for this week? Like, that's made on Sunday evenings. I pop that in. Same thing for dinner. My husband knows, like, during this time, during the weekend, I don't cook. Don't expect him to cook. Don't expect me to cook. We all chilling. So there needs to be a budget, at least for me in my home, to order DoorDash or whatever the heck everybody order, figure it out, whatever is in the fridge, that's what we're doing. That expectation is clear. In terms of the snack issue that now we have, I've started to do the basket. I think maybe someone has seen it on social media, the basket snack plan, where at the top of their day, they each have a basket, and I put a certain number of snacks in there. So those are your snacks for the day. So you can eat all the snacks in the morning, wait till night, like whatever you do to enjoy your snack time. Because I want you to have snacks. I want you to be happy, but I also don't want you asking me all the time. So now this has empowered them to realize, if I want a snack, I can go get it. But I know that if I take the snack now,
that's it.
It has to be empty. Like, that's it.
I love that.
So kind of like even help them decide or learn their own boundaries, and boundaries from themselves, and even think, like, should I get it now? Should I not get it now? Which has been really, like, interesting, to watch these 5 and 3-year-olds just trying to figure out, like, nope, should I not? Like, and look, you guys are learning something, and it's not the 9 to 3 choices. So that has kind of helped me. So, during this time, a lot of people are just like, how do you do school? How do you do balance? Blah, blah. But it's literally everything that we're adjusting to. Literally, like, we're feeding them lunch now. They were at school. But now it's like, we have to do breakfast, we have to do lunch, we have to do dinner, we have to do the snack. Yes. Like, in school, you would have gone to recess. I believe kids should always be outside. So now I got to include, like, recess, like, in my life now, where we got to go out, where you ride your bike. So what does that look like? So those are all things that, like, you have to keep in mind. Like, daily activity with kids is tough. So breaking it down can really help you. I'm like, okay, they got to eat. What can I do for Simona and Sebastian and Roman and Dwayne for our house to be healthy and home? Let's do this snack plan, and let me make sure on Sunday nights I have, like, this mental meal plan of what's gonna happen. If I can cook it, great, and it's there. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the Zoom class situation. What's going on? Like, who needs to meet one-on-one? What is the activity of the week? I can't do activities every day because I just can't. So we just pick. Is it going to be like a big puzzle on Wednesday, or are we going to do an experiment on Wednesday? Like, that has really helped them know that they watch Circle Time, they have their class, and then mommy on one random day is going to do this cool science experiment. That's what they get. Another thing I would encourage that has worked for me is the behavior chart. That has worked wonders for me, like in my house. I found it at Target. I'm sure you could print it out yourself. It's really also helped them understand the days of the week, and having something to look forward to. So every day, it's just like basic stuff, like put your stuff in the hamper. When you finish eating, throw your plates in the trash. This allows them to not ask me for things as much, because they know, like, okay, we want to make sure our room is clean. We want to make sure we put our toys away. So then I don't have to do it, because they know when they do it, they get a star, and they know when they get a star every day, they get a toy every Friday. So now they're already like, they didn't know. They're like, Monday? Is it Tuesday? We do the song together, and they're like, yes, it's Friday. Can we do this? And then they're so proud that they're, but all the while I was doing the okie doke. I just didn't want you to have me clean your room, So whatever works for you to get you to be a kind person in life. But also have you not asking me to clean your room or throw the trash or both ways. So I think really seeing them as like that joke that's going around on social media, your little coworkers or new coworkers or something like that.
Yeah.
Really seeing your bro something, but like these coworkers, like, how can I survive quarantine with these new coworkers, and what is that gonna look like for all of us? So good. And they win, and we're all good. And obviously, because we're parents, we're gonna have to give a little, and that's fine. But like finding those ways to do that.
If I can interject and just sum everything,
of course.
Have fun. Like we just gotta make it out. So like in teaching your kids,
we have to make it out. I love it.
Yeah, we just gotta make it out.
Yeah.
Different ways in which you can have fun with your children while teaching them the content. A lot of parents are more so concerned about teaching it the way the teacher does it. We'll fix that in September. We'll fix that in September.
Right. And that also
fun out for us, you know what I mean? But have fun. When they see you having fun, they're having fun. It doesn't feel as much of a burden. It feels like, okay, I'm actually enjoying this. But when it becomes very like dominant, like, or very sergeant type, it's a little difficult, and then you feel overwhelmed. But you don't pay attention to time when you're having fun. So have fun.
True.
And depending on, if I can say something real quick with what self-care so it looks like, is like, I know like my kid, our rooms are connected with the bathroom. So during bath time, I found these like glow sticks on Amazon, but they're probably on the dollar store or anything like that.
You found the what?
Glow sticks.
Glow sticks, okay.
Yeah. So during bath time, I know like if I was just doing it would be a 10-minute routine, give you a bath, we out. But if I need kind of like 15 minutes to myself, we do a glow stick party. So I know like you're in the tub, you have these glow sticks, you're having the time of your life. But I can, I have 15 minutes, so I could be on the phone with my homegirl or whatever, or just sit and finish my email, whatever I need to do, so that I still watch them. And again, it depends on how old your kids are. But my kids have been very familiar with the tub. They're not going to drown in case they
Right.
But that has helped me give them their playtime while I also have 15 minutes to myself for my self-care. Or they do my kids are they're boys, so they're super sweet. So whenever I'm doing my spa time, like, they know Sunday is like spa day for me. So if I'm doing a face mask, they're just all up in the mix. Like, well, can we lotion your legs? Well, whatever we need to do for like spa time together. So that's when they're like, well, I could learn how to lotion myself. I'm like, sure, there you go. Like, here's the lotion. So I can still relax and do what I need to do.
Right.
And they learn how to put lotion on, but they're really just leaving me alone. So I could just do what I need to. So whatever you need to do to make your house fun, like Ruth said, make everything fun so that you can have your time alone.
I love it. So much good information. Did anybody else have anything to add? Because
I just wanted to add that it's very important to be able to regulate our emotions during this time, right? Who can honestly raise their hand and say that they've been through a global pandemic before? Who's been through it? None of us have. This is all new. It's uncharted territory.
I had no idea.
We basically have to make the best of the circumstances and the situation that we've been given. So now we have all this extra time to bond with our families, to bond with our children, to get to know them better, to have fun. You know, the structure, yes, we said that's great, but you have to build in fun into the structure as well. It's not all just militant, like Ruth said, like this. It's not just that. You definitely have to incorporate the fun, because a happy mom makes happy children.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Dr. Pressley. It just brings me back to a thought I had maybe about 4 or 5 weeks into this quarantine. And we're making dinner every night, like everybody's doing, sitting down, eating dinner together. And my daughter says to me, she's like, I really, enjoy us eating dinner together as a family. And I didn't realize, like, because, my husband, he drives truck for a living, and I'm, a therapist. So I'm constantly back and forth. And the only time I really see her, is in the morning when I'm dropping her off to school. And then, of course, when I'm coming home in the evening. So like early in the morning at 7:30, 7:45, drop her off. And then I don't see her again until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Right. Wow.
So, even though I may prepare dinner and have it here, we're never here together.
Yeah.
It just made me reflect, like, wow, granted, this quarantine is not, any of our ideas of where we want to be right now.
Course.
But it did allow us to spend time with our families and just go back to bonding, and something I didn't really think of. So, yeah.
And I was going to mention that despite the pandemic and despite, all of the negative outcomes from it, there is a beauty in it, in that we are with our children more. I mean, especially with all of our crazy schedules. So if I were to sum up what was just said, I just wrote notes. I really like that snack basket thing. I'm going to try it.
That's why I put it in my classroom. It totally works. You're not getting nothing after your basket is done. That's it. It works.
A snack refrigerator too.
School, can you use your school stomach? Because I just fed you. What is happening?
School stomach.
Use your school stomach, because you're not eating this much in school. But so routine is important, but definitely we talked about pacing yourself, right? Having patience with yourself and giving yourself grace. I think that's a really big word. If you don't accomplish something today, we're just gonna do it tomorrow. We're just gonna do it tomorrow. Having fun and sneaking in time for yourself while you're occupying your children. I do the bath thing too. Can we take toys in the bath? You sure can. Take all the toys you want. Go float, swim. They go in the bathroom with their little goggles. Go. Yes, pretend like you're on a beach. Give me 15 minutes. Thank you. This is such valuable information. We're going to go to the last topic. And in the interim, guys, if you have any questions, you can start to post it in the chat too. Our wonderful panelists will be answering some questions. So if you have questions, you can go ahead and post it. So again, we're just talking about children and their mental health because it is of utmost importance as well. I want to throw this question back to our mental health therapist. How do we deal with a child who has lost their parents to COVID?
So, do you want to take this first, Dr. K, or I'll go after you?
I'll start. I was just thinking about this question earlier, and one thing that really I was reflecting on was just the power of telling stories and how that's so healing for us as adults. So I think with children, I think the power of allowing them to tell their story, to share their story, because in that story, you'll understand how they're feeling and even maybe how they're coping. And being able to just listen and acknowledge what they're feeling. And also maybe, that will also probably guide a parent or caregiver with helping to explain, the whole idea of death, the whole concept of death. So I would think just, allowing them to tell their story, listen to their story, validate their feelings, acknowledge their feelings, and be able to explain, that concept of death.
Thank you.
So what I would add to that is death is never easy. And we're in a situation where we are having a lot of unexpected deaths that are impacting affecting our families and children. Like a parent could have been healthy today and they contracted COVID and they passed away a week later.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things are unexpected. And another thing is that families are not being given the opportunity to grieve how they would usually be.
Yeah.
We're not able to have the kind of going home celebrations that we would have. We're not able to have the kind of funerals that we would have. Everything is so secluded and you kind of feel robbed and gypped of that opportunity. Not only do you feel robbed and gypped of the person who you lost, but you also feel robbed and gypped of the opportunity to be able to grieve. So one thing that I want everyone to understand is that we are all different. We all grieve differently.
Right.
There are stages of grief. I know DABDA, which, depression, anger, bargaining, acceptance, denial. There's the stages of grief. I'm not going to go into all of them, but we all go through that differently and we all express loss in a different way.
Yes.
Recommendation in order to be able to overcome that grief is to be that outlet, be able to listen to that child. And it's been said multiple times on here, extend that grace, give them that grace, have that the collaboration with that teacher to be able to communicate and say, this is what my child is going through. This is what my child is facing, because this is something that is very serious. This is something that we have not seen before, and death is real. We are losing a lot of people in our community. Children are definitely suffering from all of these losses. So we just have to take everything and understand that this type of death right now is multiplied by what was previously seen before, just with all of these different circumstances that we are definitely facing. So we have to exercise that patience. We have to collaborate with that teacher, and we also have to make outreach to different healthcare professionals. There are so many resources that are out in the community. There is COVID grief counseling resources, a multitude of those. So reach out to a school counselor, a school psychologist, a therapist, a family friend, and try to get that additional support for that child, because they are definitely suffering and it's multiplied by everything else that they're facing.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Pressley, I'll ask if you can email me those resources so I can post it. I'll have it posted on my page for anyone that will need it.
Dr. Pressley, if I'm not a mental health
Go ahead.
But with the children, one thing, even as adults, we tend to rush the process. Like Dr. Pressley said, you have the different stages of grief. You have the depression, the acceptance. But a sixth step that I think should be added is processing time. One of the things that I teach my students, it's okay to feel today and don't feel tomorrow and feel again next week. We kind of rush grieving, especially in this season where we don't have no choice but to rush it.
Right.
We can't celebrate people the way we need to, the way we would like to. So processing time. It's okay that everybody's processing time is not the same.
I love it. True. Anyone else could add if they wanted to.
I just want to say that based on what I learned last Saturday session, Terry, that grief is not linear, right? So someone may be bargaining one day and feeling one of the others? Regret,
anger,
and then go back and forth. And that speaks to that processing that Ruth is talking about. So they may process it differently, and it could, for that person, it could look like bouncing back and forth between these different stages of grief, and that could be the process of itself.
Thank you.
Another thing just I wanted to mention too, I'm so happy that you said that, Dr. Hall, about how grief is not linear. You may have someone who you think they go through grief and you think that they're okay, and all of their defense mechanisms have kicked in and they're just on autopilot and they're functioning. And then a year and a half later is where they start to display the grief symptoms. So we just have to be really realistic that we all grieve. And as Ruth said, we all process differently. So we definitely need processing time. It may be a week, it may be 6 months, it may be 6 years. So we are all different in that way.
Thank you.
And be gentle with each other and ourselves when we're going through that process, because we're also experiencing grief. Like Dr. Pressley said earlier, this is the first time any of us had ever experienced a pandemic like this. So,
Right.
We're grieving, not seeing our students, not being able to connect with our coworkers, and just our daily routine, going out to dinner, with your husband, or just taking the kids out to the park. So we're grieving, so it's not a physical person, but we're grieving well. So we just have to keep in mind just to be gentle with ourselves and each other too.
And as professionals,
amen. Oh my God.
I had to catch myself to get
I'm sorry, I'm so churchy. Sorry. Dr. Pressley, you were saying something?
I was just going to say, as professionals, we also have to be mindful of our emotional well-being as well. Because as teachers, as clinicians, as mother advocates, we are hearing these stories that are impacting our families, that are impacting our students, that are impacting our children. And we have to be mindful that there is something that's called secondary trauma. So when they are having this trauma that's happening to them and they're communicating these things with us, we are in essence having that secondary trauma. So we have to be mindful of what we're feeling, our emotional regulation, and ensuring that we have an outlet to release that secondary trauma so that we can be those professionals in order to help them. So just something to be mindful of.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You're right. I mean, I think about it as a school leader. I'm hearing from teachers who are either losing loved ones or, going through the process of family members that may have contracted the virus. And then I have students' families who may not have meals to eat on a regular basis, and think about what can I do to support those families. Right. So even if I'm not directly impacted, as we said, with the secondary trauma, just hearing those things and having to process them, and then also knowing that in a lot of ways I'm helpless.
So
you are usually the person that people go to. Okay, Dr. Hall, I need this, I need that, and how can we do X, Y, Z? And you have to conjure up a plan or work together to put together a plan. And a lot of this process is building the plane while we're flying it, and that's from the top to the bottom. So that's the real experience for all of us.
I can definitely empathize with you, Dr. Hall, especially, being a leader, being a school leader, being whatever kind of leader. It's very difficult when people are looking to you to have the answers. And you just don't have the answers.
And you're like, question mark.
You just don't know. It's hard when you are like the go-to person. You have the answers. You have a strategic plan. You have a strategy. You know how you're going to get things done. And then you hit the wall and you're like, oh, snap.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I got to wait for Central. I got to get back to you on that.
Right. Wow. This is a lot. I said to someone, I was like, if Corona just could have given us like a 3-month notice or something, we could have known what to do. But we keep talking about this word grace, and I want to end with just this question: what kind of grace needs to be given to our children in this time? Because it's not anybody's fault, but it's especially not their fault. In my case, I can't expect my 5-year-old boy not to run up and down the apartment. Unfortunately, I live in New York. I have an apartment. There's no backyard. So I have given him the grace for a few minutes a day, you're going to need to run. Because according to what psychologists said, at 5, you're supposed to be running. So for your mental development, you need certain things. So my last question to you, and again, if you are on this live and you have a question, you can just type it in the chat because we're about to transition to the question and answer period. So what kind of grace needs to be given to children in this time?
I'll begin with bedtime grace. So I say that because wake up time is contingent upon what bedtime look like.
Yes.
And I'll for example, when this whole thing started, I said, okay, well, we used to leave that my kids go to school in Brooklyn. We live in Far Rockaway. Mm-hmm. So close to an hour commute. We're out of the house probably by like 6:30.
No.
We're at the building by 7:45.
Wow.
Ish. And so, you know what, they had a chance to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the first few weeks of the pandemic, they were waking up close to the time they would usually wake up.
Right. Everybody's used to it.
Right. And as time would go by, it would be a little later and a little later.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm working. So
Right.
I'm on my Zoom, my Google Meet meetings with my staff. So I really don't want them up as early as they were before.
No, it's true.
So what I have had to do, and I feel like everything is intertwined, the scheduling along with the grace, along with, you know, handling the grief, because and also the sense of shock, because although I can have them up at 8 o'clock when I'm on my meets with my staff, I really don't want them up at that time, because then they're coming into me and they're, you know, asking questions. They want to have breakfast. Dad may not be ready to make breakfast. I'm not ready. So I'm
trying to be in your camera.
Right, trying to be in your camera. Like,
yeah.
So I'm okay on some days if they wake up later. Mm-hmm. There's been days that they woke up at 10 o'clock. Did they get their Google Classroom work done? Yes.
Thank you for making me feel better about my parents. I do.
It's okay. Now, do I want them waking up at 10 o'clock every day? No.
No, right.
So when it happens, it's not the end of the world, because my focus is, did you get done what you needed to get done today?
Right.
So that's one. Also, knowing that my children are very different. So I have one that's he sleeps late. He can sleep very late into the day, and he prefers to go to bed at night, very much like me. So he'll wake up at 10 o'clock and go to bed at 2 and be all right. And then I have but really with my girls, what I do with them is, on most days I will work with them in the afternoon after my work day is done. They are 6 and 7, and they need a little more guidance with the Google Classroom than the 9 and 10-year-old boys need. Right. So the grace for them has been, rather than you, mommy, and me, while I'm on my meets, and while I'm visiting Google Classrooms, and they're with their Google Classroom.
Oh my gosh.
So rather than this, and I'm saying I can't right now. I can't. I'll catch up with you, daughter, after 3-ish, 4-ish, and whatever's in your Google Classroom. And I'm not talking about the live meet, but whatever assignments there are that you need to complete, I'll sit with you and we'll get them done. Right. So grace has been for me a lot in the scheduling, and saying it's okay if you get up at 10 and we get it done between 10 and 3. But for me, my stipulation has been the live classes. If their teacher is on live at 9:30, you got to be on the live, because the teacher has prepared something for you that
of course,
that, you know, you really shouldn't miss. Mm-hmm. It's important for the teacher to create that for you. Mm-hmm. But for me, the grace has been in the scheduling and allowing the scheduling to be broken when possible, when necessary.
Thank you again for saying that. My son's schedule really begins between 9 and 10. And that's, I give myself an hour before I wake him up, because I need to set myself. Mm-hmm. Before all of and with her out, she doesn't wake up till like 12, because she doesn't even allow him to do his schoolwork. She's like, I want to color, I want to do. So we just have a very good system here. So thank you for saying that. Anyone else? What kind of grace needs to be given?
In talking about the scheduling there and just being sure to submit work on time and getting everything done, it's another form of grace is it's okay if you don't get it done today. Mm-hmm. I had a Zoom with my students on Thursday. And, you know, I did morning meeting, and then I asked them how they were doing. And one kid said, I'm sick of homeschool. I want to be in my classroom.
Yeah.
I want to be with my friends, and I want to paint my name. So what did I do? My lesson went out the window, and I said, sis, let me pull up this program for you to paint your name. So I went out the window, because just like, you know, we've established in this conversation, we're going through, they're going through too. So the grace is a matter of, You know what? If you don't get it done today, it's all right. I'll find a way to incorporate it throughout the rest of the week. So we painted our name. That was an activity for the morning. We painted our name, and
I love it.
Pictures and told us what she did. And she had a snack while she painted her name. It wasn't the baskets that we usually do, but it was out of the ordinary, and it was still effective because she was still involved with the class. So if you don't get to do it today, it's okay. I know a lot of parents struggle with making sure it got to be in by midnight. It got to be. Some days, not so much. I'm not saying every day because
right.
that routine you kind of set yourself up for failure. But there are some days if you don't get to do it, it's okay. And chances are the teachers probably don't want to do it either. So we tired too. So
yeah, 4 kids too.
Let's have a day of fun together.
Yeah,
that's so real.
Extend grace in that capacity.
That's so real. Thank you for that, Teacher of the Year, Miss Ruth.
Stop it, silly goose.
Anyone else?
I need to learn how to give myself some grace. Just learning how to, because it seems like, and I've been hearing this from a lot of people, like they feel like they've had more work to do that they've been home. And all this time, like working in an office setting, I always thought, oh, this working from home would be cool. Maybe working 1 or 2 days a week. And now I'm doing it like every day. And I'm finding myself even checking emails on Sunday just to be prepared for Monday. So I need to allow myself some grace to say, you know what? Some days, like Ruth said, I'm gonna turn this laptop off.
No.
Yeah. Like go out for a walk. Yeah. I'm just gonna.
I'm not even answering a text message on a Sunday if it has anything to do with a lesson plan.
Yep.
Go spend time with your family. Go do what you got to do. And I'll catch you Monday at 7:50.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah. I find I find myself doing that because I also supervise interns and graduate level counselors. So they may call or email with questions and cases they want to process. And, and I told myself I was going to stop after like work, like by 5:30. But sometimes I'll find myself checking emails at 8:00 at night when the family is watching TV. And I'm like, I need to stop that. So,
but that's why. So in for the New York school system, for the high school at least, they made the school day. They extended it from 8 instead of a starting time at 8. It now starts at 9, right? And they shortened the class periods from 45 minutes to 25 minutes because kids are up TikToking all night. And then you get up at midday, right? And now you're emailing your teachers at 5 p.m. to try and understand, what's going on. And of course, nobody is waking up at 8 a.m. So that's what they did in New York to try to combat that. But it's so true. Reva, you said it's true, but I don't like getting the emails from the teacher. Can you explain what you mean by that?
I think it was referring to when Ruth, because it came earlier when Ruth was saying sometimes missing submitting work.
Oh, okay.
She was saying like it's true, but she doesn't want to hear from the teacher. That's what I'm assuming, because that's when it came up.
Well, you tell the teacher. No, I'll let a panelist answer. I'm not going to be professional. Everyone has to understand. Do what you can. Reva, do what you can. Right? Are there any other questions from the audience while I ask if anybody else has anything else to say in regards to this grace topic for our children or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I know for us, giving a lot of grace with the feelings that we all may have, especially with them missing their friends. So I think Dr. K even said that, and also with what Dr. Hall said about like not, some days are not going to be strict routines, or even this time has given us like this opportunity to spend so much time with our family, and how beautiful that is, because I think kids can be excited about having their mommy and daddy like all to themselves in this house. Sometimes that can look like, well, I want to sleep with you guys tonight, or I just want to cuddle up under you and stuff. And I think giving them, the grace to express feelings in that way and cuddling and having that extra time, or even allowing them, they miss their friends, and giving them the opportunity to express that. So even if it's you want me to call people back to back today, I'll do it, or if you my son, he missed his best friend and he was like, can I draw a picture for him? And can we drop it off at his house? I promise, mommy, I will. Which was so sad. Honestly, broke my heart that my 5-year-old had to say, I promise I won't go next to him. I was like, you don't have to promise me that. I don't have to do that. But we did it. He drew a picture. My husband and I drove downtown DC to his house and called the mom up, and I was like, Sebastian drew a picture for Iliad today, and we're just gonna, drop it off at the front door, and that made Iliad's day, and it was really, really nice. Like then Iliad came out, and then they talked from a distance, and it was like, and it just made them feel so happy, and I was like, this was worth it, inconvenience. Like, now I got to drop off, but giving them the grace to kind of feel in that way, and then again a chance to take care of those feelings. I think that's something we should consider for kids.
Yes, so true. Thank you.
I was going to add another area of grace is to give them grace with their feelings and their emotions. So the reason why I say that, I have a high school senior who was supposed to graduate. And a lot of graduations, a lot of proms, a lot of their activities have been canceled. And they went to school on a Friday and they came home and it's like, oh, you're not going back to school. Oh, you're not getting to say goodbye to your friends. Oh, we don't know when you're in your locker. We don't know when these things are.
Suddenly.
Suddenly. And, oh, you're supposed to start college in the fall, but we don't know if it's going to be virtual classes or if you're actually going to be brick and mortar. We don't know what's going on. So I say, especially with the teenagers who, they look like big people, they look like adults, but
they're babies.
Fully aren't developed yet to that point. I would say to just give them that grace with their feelings, with their emotions, because we all experience prom, we all experience graduation, and this is something that's being taken away from them. So we just need to have some grace with when we get those teenage attitudes to just meet them where they are. Meet to just grace, gentleness, and patience. So I would say that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm there with you. I'm definitely there with you.
I couldn't imagine, like, the prom time is like the biggest time. I mean, my students were venting to me the other day, Ruth, we canceled my lesson because they were like,
need a minute.
And we had 45 minutes of them just expressing how over it they were. Yeah, especially about going to college. That's big. That's big. That's big. Do you guys have any questions from the audience? Our panelists are here just for a few more minutes. They're willing to ask any of the, answer any questions from parents. We have mental health professionals. We have mommy advocate. We have principal and teacher of the year here willing. Such a great panel. Such a great panel to answer any questions. And I'm still taking closing remarks for the service. I don't know how not to be church. Go ahead.
I'm going to answer what Dr. Pressley was saying about her graduate. So I also have a graduate, a 5th grade graduate, though.
Oh, and my son, kindergarten.
Yeah. And I have a kindergarten, so I keep forgetting that she's also a graduate. So it's kindergarten. Yes. And I would have graduated in May 16th would have been my graduation. So we would have all three been, everything's canceled.
We still gonna clap you up, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I didn't, I guess, realize the impact of, no graduation and no goodbye. And what it would have on my 5th grade there, because he's like, we're not all going to the same school.
Oh, right.
How are we going to see them? So they got their acceptance letters a few weeks ago, and for some, he doesn't know where they're going.
The word.
You're gonna make me cry. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I was over because they have a boys group in their school. So he's on the boys group with the mentor from the school, and some of the friends from his class are there and some aren't. So, you know, they kind of went around the room to find out what school did you get into, which school did you get into.
Yeah.
He was able to hear that a few of them are going to the same school as him and some of them aren't. And then a whole bunch they don't know. But that was like an aha for me, like, wow, like this is a whole season that's going to just end.
Yeah.
There would be little closure for the experience.
Yeah.
Closure.
So we just need to keep that. And that's, you know, a grace that will need to be given to our children to just kind of be empathetic to understand this wasn't my story, but I can understand how you feel. And to pray for them, you know, to be able to transition smoothly to the next grade or to the next stage of life. Sucks.
Rona, I need you to go.
Like is this for your doctoral? You're graduating?
Yeah.
All this work and I ain't got the water. That's
It's 2021.
Oh.
I bought my garments, my hood, and all that stuff. I bought it. We're gonna take pictures in the house. Me, the 5th grader, and the kindergartner.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yes.
That is really nice.
Yes. Celebrate anyway.
Yeah.
Awesome. We were even hoping that, you know, for the kids that didn't have prom, no one expected it to still be going on, right? So I was like, guys, maybe they'll have something in August. Don't worry about it. And now, you know, there's still so many question marks up, you know. Woo. Okay, so grace to let our children feel and express themselves as well. Yeah. Any other remarks? I don't see any questions from the audience. We are waiting to answer. If not, you know, if no one else has anything to say, then we can close out. But anyone have any other closing remarks?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak out and to share our skill sets with our community. Thank you for putting this together, and thank you for really caring about our children to do this together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It would be nothing without you all, and I'm honored that you would accept the invitation. So thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for even, you know, the foresight to have the variety of panelists.
It's just the way my crazy mind works.
Educators, entrepreneurs, public relations.
Yes.
It's a great marriage of skill sets. So thank
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, ladies, again, thank you all for agreeing to be on this panel. There was so much valuable information that was shared. I have my notes. I'm trying this snack basket. I'm looking for this behavior chart. Like I said, this was really just for me. I just wanted to share with the world because I don't know. I'm at home with 2 children. Try to stay safe. But thank you all for lending your expertise. And for those of you who are watching, this will be recorded. I will be posting this to my YouTube link. So if you needed to listen to this wonderful information again or share it with a parent who did not get a chance to tune in, there will be that opportunity. Again, Dr. Pressley is going to email me some resources, and anyone else, if you have some resources, I asked you, Ruth, also for some tutor, you know, some educational assistance resources. Look out for that on my page. I'll have that as well. We all need to get through this together.
Make it out.
We have to lean on each other. And as you said, we just got to make it out. We're going to make it, y'all. We're going to make it out. So thank you all again. Everyone have a great night. Stay safe. Stay inside. If you go outside, please wear your mask and your gloves. And stay encouraged. God is still in control. He's still in the same position. He still reigns high, even over COVID. So just be at peace. Be at peace. All right?
All right.
Thank you all. Have an amazing night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.